I'm going to be going over the vertex modeling, and I'll be going over these first three icons: the fast extrude, sweep surface, and extrude surface. These all have a lot in common. They all work with faces, edges, and points or vertices. They all do, except the fast extrude. Fast extrude works with edges and faces only, and I'll give you a sample. The edge must be selected first, then you select the icon. As you can see, I got a little yellow ball that indicates I had selected the fast extrude, and I can extrude it. I'm going to Control Z that to undo it. Now I'm going to select the face on here. Select the face first. Alright, at this time, instead of pressing the icon, I'm just going to hold the Control key down. I'm going to keep it held all the way down through this whole thing as I walk through each step. So I'll hold the CTRL key down, or the Control key, and just keep it held down as I'm going through this. And I click up here on this blue arrow, and that extrudes it forward. Now I let go of the mouse, but not the Control key. Now I'm going to click the blue arrow again, and now I got the double extrude from that square there. And as I said, I'm going to keep this Control key held down. Now I'm going to grab this little red cube, and then I'll just scale it here, and then I'll just go ahead and click the blue arrow to extrude it up. Then at this time, I'm just going to go ahead and grab this yellow ball in the middle, which is kind of like a freehand of extruding. As you see, my Control key is still held down. If I let go of it, as you see the manipulator change, that indicates I let go of the Control key. Let's take a look at it. And that's how that works. I'm going to Control Z this a few times to get back to the starting here. Alright, now we got the sweep surface and extrude. It does not matter if you select the face or edge or point first or afterwards. So let's say I selected the icon, then I can go ahead and select the face, as you can see right here. I'm going to press the escape key, cancel that. Now let's say I just selected the face first, then selected the icon. It'll try jumping where my cursor's at, so I'll click here. As you can see, it jumped towards it. So whatever you prefer, if you want to click the face first or after, you select the icon. Hit the escape key to cancel out. At this time, I'm going to select one of the faces and drag over it and select three of them. I'm going to select the sweep surface, and as you can see, it's extruded all three of these faces in groups. And you need to pull this down here for a lot of extra options here. Now, if I select this option over here, this keeps them as separate faces. So this is how this happens. As you can see here, if I want to keep them grouped together as a block, I can do it like that. And I got the taper. Allows you to set the taper and twist at the last step. And I'll click this and show you a little sample. I'll just pull it out here and click, pull it out and click, and I'll double click here. Now if you look at my cursor, I got a plus and minus key symbol by it. If you go over by the numeric pad or the numpad on the very right of your keyboard, you can move the plus and minus key down, up or down. You can also select these to do any kind of adjustments. And if I want to twist it, I can just go ahead and put my cursor in here in the twist box where the power meters are at, and just move my scroll wheel to twist the object And I'll move the scroll wheel down to twist it back. And I'll just go ahead and just type in the value 0 and press enter. And that's how that works. Alright, let's load another one up. Alright, we're going to go over the extrude surface. I'm going to go ahead and select the face. I always like selecting them first, it don't matter. And I'll select here and it jumps to it. As you can see, it goes up and down, and I cannot I want to bend it to the left or right, but it won't let me. Now if you look over to the right here, you can see some more icons over here. And if I'm going to tap the space bar on the keyboard, and it's going to cycle to the next icon. As you can see, the extrude is highlighted, so I will tap the space bar. As you can see now, it went over to the sweep. If I tap it again, you can see it went over to this one here. So I'll click here. I'll click it again. Tap the space bar. Click it. Tap the space bar 3 times. As you can see, it's cycling over on the right there. And I'll click it here and validate. And collapse the geometry on here. So that's how that works. These 3 icons are basically have a lot in common, so I just want to go over a few of these items with you. We're going to select the object because I want to delete it and go to the next step. We are going to be going over the bridge tool here in the vertex modeling. We'll select the face here, and I'll just go ahead and sweep this around a few times as I'm clicking as I'm going along, and face it to the object. And I'll double click here. Now I'm going to go ahead and select the face here. This is where I want it to start bridging from. And I'll hold the shift key down and select this one here. That's what I want to bridge it to. As you can see, my icon, it's got over on the right side of it's got a little symbol next to it indicating I got the shift key held down. So I'll click here. As you can see, now both of them are highlighted. I'll select the bridge, and it bridges both the faces together. Take a look at it. As you can see there, I'll Control Z this a couple times, and we'll scale it up. I'm going to delete a couple faces here, and this also works with edges. So I'll select the edge mode, select the edge up here, hold the shift key down, select both of these at once, and bridge it. As you can see, now I got one face. Let's go ahead and delete this object here. Bring on another cube. This time we'll just go ahead and copy this and we'll paste it here as another example. This time I'll subdivide this one. As you can see over in the scene tree, I got 2 different objects. They both need to be active for the bridge tool to work. So I'll just hold the shift key down and select this one over here. Now both are active. As you can see, they're highlighted over in the scene tree. I'll select the face here. Now I'm going to hold the shift key down and select that one first. And I'm going to hold the shift key down and select that one. And I'll press the bridge tool. As you can see, that now they're both subdivided. The one that's subdivided will dominate the one that's not subdivided. Okay, we're going to be going to the Vertex Edge tool here. There's a little triangular up here in the corner. If you hold your mouse button down, you can see you got a list of icons here. Well, I load these same icons in order in my custom palette over here so you can see it. Now this might look confusing because I got the top icon, the second one, and the last one. Heck, they look basically the same. And let me explain what each one does. But before I start off, I need to select a edge or a face. So I'll select here. Now we're going to ignore this last icon, and I'll explain that later. We'll select the top one. Now if I hover over the top here, it says the fillet. Second one says extract along, and the third one says extract around. This actually has three options in one of the icons. Well, these three options are exactly in these icons right here. These only carry one option, so if I select here, now this one says extract along. Let's go back to the top one. As you can see, this one says extract along in it too. And let's go to the third one. This one says extract around. Go back to the first one. And this one says extract around, but I have three options. And here's the fillet. And basically the same thing with this one is the fillet. Now this icon's got all three of these here. And this one here at the bottom says move along. Actually has its own little option and it's not included in this top one. So I would recommend, I personally use just the top one only and the bottom one. Now let me explain which one each one does. Alright, this one is move edge along edges. So I'll select here. What this does is it's moving the edge along from the other edge. It won't let me go past this other edge. I can just stop here. Control Z that. And I'll stop down here and do another one. Now let's move this edge down here. There's a little bit better view. Control Z that. Be common to use this maybe in somewhere in the center of an object rather than in the corner up here as I did. As I can select it over here and move the edge over here. We'll Control Z that. Alright, we'll start with the extract the long edges. So I'll extract here and I'll move it over here. As you can see, it almost worked like the move edge along, but it just like it said, it moved along the edge over here. We'll Control Z that. And we'll do the edge around edge. Select here. As you can see, it's going around it on each side and let go. Now look how that looks there, and I'll Control Z that. And the fillet will almost do the same, but it will remove the center edge here. So basically they're the same almost. So I'll just do another one over here. I'll just do a little comparison so you can see them. You can click here and shift click, and you can do multiple ones at one time. I had paused the video and I got these more in the Tessellate icons, and I loaded them over here while I had the video paused. And we'll start with a free Tessellate. It must start on the edge and end on the edge. We can click here. We can click in the middle of the face here, and it must end on the edge. Then we'll go to the next one. This one goes across segments. So I'll select here, when I select over here, I'll move my cursor to the right and it's going to snap. It's going to go to the next segment. So I can select here and click here and validate. Now we got the slice, and I'm going to hold the shift key down. This is going to put me in the what's going to happen is this edge here and the head edge down here, if I hold the shift key, this means the red square box there indicates I'm in the halfway mark. So if I hold the shift key, then it draws the edge between the two edges. It's in the center. And actually, it draws the makes the edge all the way around the cube there. And we'll bring this over here, and we'll do another one here. And you can experiment around and just click around it, and it will just validate it. Let's just go ahead and delete this cube and just start another one up here. Now we'll jump down here to the quad. We'll select the face for the quad. As you can see there, I got some faces in there, 4 of them. Quad equals 4. This is triangular. And we'll do one for the back, the diamond shape. We're going to be going to the connect tool here. This works with edges, so I'll select the edge here, or the edge mode, and I'm going to hold the shift key down. I'm going to select this top one here and the one below it. As you can see, I selected one above it and one below it. Now for experiment, I'll do one from the left to the right. So I remember I got one top and bottom, one left and right. And when I press the connect, it's going to find the halfway point and put a line or a edge between it, exactly in between it. So I select here. As you can see, here's my new edge here, and here's my new edge here. So it depends which way that you select your edges, in which order. Another little sample is I could go like this, and let's say ring it, and then if I select connect, it's going to put a edge line exactly between the distance of this one here and this one here. So you can see how that works. Now I can select a point. Let's say I select this point, hold the shift key down and select this point. Then when I press connect, it'll draw an edge from that point to the other point. As you can see down there. This is the tweak option here. I'll select it here, and I'll select the face over here, and this lets me easily select the polygons and just drag them out and maneuver around a lot easier. I use soft selection on this one here, and I also can hold the shift key down and drag out. So it's pretty fast wherever you want to go. Click, hold the shift key down. We're going to be going over target weld here. As you can see, I got 4 different planes out here. But I got in the scene here, I just got grouped as one. Because when I paused the video, I went ahead and just welded all these to make sure this is going to work right. So we need to select what mode we're going to be in. We'll just select the edge here. And we're going to go over into the target weld. And we're just going to click over here and click it to validate it. Now we can switch modes. I'll switch to the point mode, target weld, and we'll do that again. Now that makes a big difference. If you can see on this top one, let me Control Z this so you can see a little bit better. It matters which order that you start with. Let's say I started in this order here and pressed target weld and welded to this one. The big one snapped to the small one. Right, Control Z this, and I'll start here. And we'll press target weld. As you can see, now the small one snapped to the big one. So it kind of depends what order that you're going to go in when you're target welding, especially when you're doing two different sizes. We're going to go over a weld point up here, this icon here. And as you can see in this cube here, I got a little tear in it. And I'll just go ahead and select the weld point. And I'll select the first point and the end point by clicking it, and it'll weld it together. I'll Control Z that. And we can also right click, draw marquees, and let go, and it'll weld it. One thing that you might run into, I'll Control Z that. If you turn it, and if you look way down in the cube, you'll see there's another point way back there. So if I was to draw marquees, there's a good chance it would try welding back to that one. So I'll just show you for instance. And sure enough, it tried welding way to the back there. So Control Z that. And what you need to do is face it where you don't see any points but these two here. And you can just right click it and it'll weld it. Just wanted to point that out just in case you ran into that problem. I'm going to be going over the average weld and weld. I got a cube here that's cut in half. Each has their own sections over here in the scene tree. And I'm going to go ahead and press the weld. And when I do that, I got the weld all option. And when I select that, these will become one. So I'll select all. And now we have one of them. These are permanently stuck together. Now it welds them all together as one, but you can see it's still got a gap, so it actually don't weld the points and edges. So we're going to use the average weld for that. I'll select here, and let's say I wanted to weld just 2 points together. I can actually select this point here and this point here. Now it's going to try finding these 2 points and weld them. I got a plus and minus symbol by my cursor. That indicates that I can use the numpad or the numeric pad on the right side of the keyboard and tap the plus sign. And as soon as I do, I may need to click it more, and sometimes I may just don't overshoot it. So let's just go ahead and undo that. And that's basically how that works, or you could use this up here. I'll just undo that and abort that. Now, let's say I want to weld this whole thing together, put this cube back together. This time, instead of selecting a point, I'm just going to go ahead and select the average weld. And this little gap here, it's going to try matching up all these points. If they're pretty close to across from each other, it's going to try finding it by the distance. So if I click here, as you can see, it can overshoot it. So maybe I didn't need to click it, so I'll just click it back where it was at. This time I'll just click it and just kind of scroll with it a little bit. As you can see, you can overshoot it if you're not careful enough. So that's pretty much basically welded the cube back together as one. As I'll select in the seam here and pull on it just to show you. Control Z that. Just wanted to recap this for you a little bit. I said I clicked it on that last one. Actually what I did was I hovered my mouse over here and just held the mouse button down. As you see, when I did it, my mouse disappeared, and what I'm doing is just holding the mouse button down. The next thing, I'm moving the mouse up and down. This will actually scroll, and that's how I did that. What I did when I made a mistake was that the first time was by clicking. Alright, let's delete that. We're going to add a cylinder here for this little demonstration. Go back to Vertex Modeling, and we're going to go to the Close. We'll select this icon. It's going to find any open holes, and it will show by some white outlines where the holes are at. Sometimes these holes are small and you can't see them, so these white lines will indicate where the hole's at. I can select my cursor here and click somewhere on the white, and this will close the gap. The red will indicate that the hole is closed. For some reason, I didn't. If I want to ungap that, I'll just click it again. And I can also close all by pressing here. As you can see, you close the top and the bottom. We're going to go ahead and use Dislocate. It will work with faces and edges. I believe it also works with points. We got a face selected, and we'll press Dislocate. There's nothing happens, but if we can see when we move the face, it dislocated it. And we can do with this with the edges. You need at least 2 edges for this to work. As you can see, I'll kind of zoom in here. I'll go ahead and press Dislocate. It appears nothing happened, but if I select above it and pull on it, you can see it made a little tear in it. What it did was dislocate it. We're going to use the extract here, and as you can see over here that I still got one object, and it appears that I got a face down here which is still part of this object. Now I'm going to use extract, and we're going to take a look over here in the scene properties. So I'll select the face, and we'll go up here and extract it. As you can see, now it has its own form over here in the scene tree. We'll move over here to the symmetry, and we'll just go ahead and hide this sphere for right now. Got a couple options here. If I start doing the check marks in the box, you can see it's doing a symmetry to that axis. And I can uncheck them. And if I move my cursor over here, I'll tilt it to a little bit. Now wherever that plane is at, it'll mirror to that side. Look, let's activate the ball here. And we'll select it. Now we'll select this again. Now, well, this time we'll select the center from the center. And what happens is I will be mirroring off the instead of the, if you can see this little blue box around here, this is going to let me adjust to where I want it mirrored at. If you look where my cursor is at, kind of to the left of it, there's a little green dot there. That's where I'm going to, that's where the ball is going to drop. And if you can see my big crosshairs, if I hold the shift key down, it actually indicates over the box. If I get to halfway the box here, you just click, as you can see it, now it mirrored the spear on the other side. And we also have the plus and the minus, which smooths and increases and decreases. Basically the same thing as this down here. As you notice, the cube, when I subdivided it, it got round. Why would a cube go round? Well, the reason why is because it needs more edges in it, some more faces. And for a little demonstration, I'll just go ahead and delete this. We'll add another cube here. And this time we'll tessellate it one time. Now let's divide it. Let's divide that and see what it's going to look like. As you can see, now it's holding its shape a little bit better than turning into a ball. Let's delete that. Let's add a couple more. We'll validate it. As you can see, now it's really starting to hold its shape. You can think of this as actually just like a chicken wire around this cube here, or a box. And I'll give you a little scenario, what I think. Say I had this cube out here. Alright, now the center of the cube, let's compare this to something. When you divide it, you're contracting it, and everything's trying to squeeze to the middle. It's trying to pull these points all to the middle. And it's also actually added more polygons to it. If I click this little icon here, as you can see, I got a lot of polygons there. I'll Control Z that. So my little advice to you is kind of experiment how things work. So if we go to the Vertex Modeling tab, and what I need you to do is just go ahead and experiment with some of these options, like anything that does with about adding edges in, to it. So I'll just select the edge here, or the face, and we'll add some more to it, and we'll divide it. As you can see what that's doing to it. Well, experiment with it some more by just dragging. And we'll divide it. As you can see, now it's starting to hold the shape towards the front. You can also select the edge and use these tools here. Experiment around. Move the edge a little bit closer or a little bit further apart. See what it does when you subdivide it. How's it going to react? You can also select an edge and press the backspace key to dissolve it. Subdivide it and pull it back. Kind of experiment around, then you'll understand how the how this works with the edges and vertices and polygons. It might look good if you're not subdividing it, but if you start getting all these lines or edges out of whack, then all of a sudden you start dividing it, you could end up with a big mess. But once you understand what these edges do, what angle they're going to go in, how far apart they are, how many they are, it all makes a difference. So kind of experiment around by adding them and doing like I said, and just go back and forth and subdivide it and just go back to 0 and just kind of experiment around. This will help you better understand it. Thank you.